You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Welcome to the One More for the Good Guys podcast, where good guys gather to shed light on the good life, the people, and the good things that make it that way. I'm Mike McGill with my co-host, Jamie Akins. Now, raise your glass, lend us your ear, and let's have one more for the good guys. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby. On today's guest episode, we have our friend and soon-to-be yours, Mark Dunn, local drummer and Maryville native, as well as former drummer for George Jones. Mark's got charisma-filled stories forever, and also has a new book coming out about all the memoirs of his adventure-filled career. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Dunn.
Are we on? Are we rolling?
Hey, is this on?
Yeah.
This is testes. 1, 2.
Yeah, it's testing. 1, 2, 3. You got. I'm gonna kick off with 3 steps, probably. No, we did a show with Hank Jr. at the Coliseum, and probably 81. Oh my gosh, it was. I've told you that story though before because it's the Merle Haggard, The Way I Am story.
Oh yes,
on the motorhome.
Yes,
in front of the Hyatt.
Yes, with your family waiting.
Oh yeah,
to hear you play on the big stage.
It was. We may get back to that.
Yeah,
we may get back to that.
Hey, man, here's the deal. Just I just wanted to see you, talk to you. We were talking earlier. If you don't know, everybody, we'll just put this in there. I don't know if we'll obviously keep it, but we won't cut this part out. That would be kind of stupid. But it is our first one, so we might fuck up. Don't judge me. You know? Hey,
it's I guess I should either really be honored that I'm the first one.
Yeah.
Or realize you may just be desperate.
We're totally desperate.
Seriously.
I'm not lonely, but I'm desperate. So you'll get to leave that way.
Okay.
If I was lonely.
Okay.
Oh, boy. What that would be. Hey, this is One More for the Good Guys. Our special guest, very first episode we've ever going to do. We are doing is today. What's the date? We should remember that.
Today is
just in case.
May 9th.
It may live in infamy.
My God.
Of a better sorts. But our guest today is my friend, our friend, and soon to be yours, I hope. The legendary Mark T. Dunn. Marcus, how are you?
Let's not push it too far. I don't know about that. Thank you, Michael.
You're a legend to me, buddy.
Shoot, man. I appreciate you asking me out here today.
Yeah, well, it's been forever. This whole thing, as we were talking earlier, we visited for a while and, tuned the band up. So, that was good. But, as we were talking earlier, it's just, I just wanted to see some people, man.
I hear you.
And get that recorded in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
I've written some stuff down and some things, and I've thought about different stories and all that shit, and I think about them, and I'm like, man, and I've been telling half-assed versions of them forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Making money on a microphone and singing and all that stuff, and but I always thought to myself, boy, if you ever just went back and kind of wrote them down a little bit, worked them out just a little bit, you could really tell a good story then, or at least I think I would.
There you go. Oh, no doubt.
Let's face it, that's all that matters.
Well,
but anyway, so that's what it is, man. Just wanted to see you. How you been?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
Doing okay. It's, these last couple of years, it's been a trip.
It has been.
But,
yeah.
there was a lot of unhappiness, but there was a lot of happiness too.
Yeah.
My son got married in 2021.
Yeah.
And,
out on the left coast.
Oh man, that's my coast, baby.
Yeah,
that's where I'm comfortable.
We talked a couple of nights while you were out there, and before you went, and all that good stuff. And
it was out in Joshua Tree.
I know you were looking for it.
Yeah, it was a wonderful. My daughter-in-law is just awesome.
That's great. Yeah, we got to meet her. And
Priscilla.
Yeah.
That was a Romeo show one night.
Yeah,
that's.
I can't remember exactly where.
It was Barley's in Maryville.
It was Barley's in Maryville. Okay, yeah.
And I think someone had
Barley's in Maryville.
Huh?
Formerly Barley.
Formerly. Yeah.
I knew that wasn't going to work.
Big Tit Brewery, or what is it now?
I don't know.
Shitty
room with round tables.
Uptight.
Blue Tick.
Uptight County.
Something like that. But
Blue Tick Brewery.
But no, it's
Pizzeria and Brewery, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, something of that nature.
It's up there in Maryville.
Oh yeah, my hometown. Of course.
Yeah, you grew up in Maryville.
Why, hell
you?
yeah. We ain't going to get into all that.
Yeah.
Get into all
We're
that.
at in Maryville.
But before I forget, I am real close to getting through with the book.
Nice.
I'm talking like we're getting real close.
No shit.
So, everybody keep your ears open. For news in the hopefully near future.
Well, we'll tell everybody about it here and on social media and all that stuff.
I'm unfamiliar with the book now, so
we'll let Mark tell you about it. I was getting ready to tell you all about it, but he's our guest. So, no, I found out about this book. Personally, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It's a while ago.
6, maybe 7.
Yeah, I started on it I started seriously on it in 2012.
Yeah.
But then I think I met JC and you in 2015. Does that sound right?
That sounds right, because Cubs won the World Series in 2016, and that's like during that time frame. It's like, that was 16.
Yeah,
we won the.
Well, something that comes along every century, you got to mark down as a
108.
Yeah, century.
Don't you get all
century-ish.
This is not a good way to start out. Talking about times being fucking tough. But man, a Yankees fan, for Christ's sake.
Oh, God.
Jeez, oh, Pete.
I know. God almighty.
Well, my Kings got knocked out of the hockey deal the other day, so.
Who's left? Fill us in. What's the? Well, I was thinking about that the other night.
I'm pulling for the Florida Panthers.
Okay, so they're still in it.
Yeah, and Priscilla's mom tips my daughter-in-law.
Right.
Tips why? Her mom lives just about across the street from the arena that they play down in Sunrise. Yeah, outside of Fort Lauderdale. So, and it's funny too, the Maple Leafs who Florida's playing, that was always my favorite Canadian team.
Oh, Toronto, yeah.
And
Maple Leafs.
We played at least twice up in Maple Leaf Gardens, the old Maple Leaf Gardens. It'd take your breath away.
Was it wooden?
It was old
there was a lot of those old ones that were, all the
Yeah.
structural stuff was wood. Keeble sent me a picture of one from out in Utah somewhere. I believe it was Utah, but it was, it was this big arena, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, auditorium, coliseum, whatever, but it was, all the structural stuff in it was wood.
Yeah.
Big fucking timbers, that they had laminated and bent and all this crazy stuff. And I was like,
it was cool.
Holy cow. Yeah. And he's up there hanging from the roof, taking pictures, sending to me, from somewhere out west.
Oh, God.
Anyway, I interrupted you. The Panthers.
No,
and the Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah, that
the original Maple Leaf Gardens.
Well, and then that got me thinking of just places that I remember one day, and this is kind of, it's just the way it is. After you do that, especially when you're on the road for years at a time.
Yeah.
I was with George for 7 years.
Yeah.
And
that was full years.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't like, had.
No, that was.
We're leaving for 3 months.
No,
No, it was.
There was.
Boys be here at the bus.
Yeah. I was.
Or we're headed your way. We're picking you up.
it was. Well, I got off my thought there. Oh, back to the arenas though. That's what I was going to say. I knew we were in Detroit, and we'd been working hard. We do 110, 115 days a year.
So would that have been? Were they still playing in Cobo Hall, or were they in the Joe
hang on,
at that
hang
point?
On,
okay, all right.
Hang on.
Shut the fuck up.
Hang on.
God damn, you ain't coming to my place telling me but once.
Well, I'm trying to make this thing good, Michael. Hellfire.
Fire away there, Turbo.
No, but at times you'd forget that you were playing, for a top shelf artist, and that you were going to be in front of 8,000 people tonight.
Yeah.
At times, if it was just another job.
Yeah, I tell people that a lot, man. They're just like,
exactly.
Oh, you must loved it. And I said, yes, I absolutely more than loved it. I mean, I feel incredibly thankful and for all the stuff. I've got to be everywhere, man, and I never thought I'd ever be able to do that or be able to. But at any rate, it becomes, and how many times you heard us say this on the road when we're playing and stuff is like, time to make the donuts, You're like that motherfucker on the TV commercial, man.
And that's lost on the new generation,
Time to make the donuts.
I say it all the time, and people don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, that's what I always thought about. And then they'd ask me, and I was like, all right, you ever seen that commercial? The Dunkin' Donuts, the old fat guy getting up every morning.
Yeah, Mario. Looking dude.
Yeah. Time to make the donuts. But those gigs become donut gigs,
And so
to me,
it's an afternoon.
I know what you're talking about.
And I don't know if we'd finished sound check or what, but I was poking around, and I just kind of looked through one of the from the hallways from the concourse into the arena, and the first thing that caught me was this banner that was hanging up, and then it just dawned. I said, this is fucking Joe Louis Arena.
There you go, the Joe.
This is where the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
And I thought, damn, that's cool as shit.
Did you ever play the old Boston Garden?
No.
Oh man, I always wanted to go there as a kid.
Man, had that parquet floor.
Oh, yeah, Lou, right over there. There's the green Converse right there, man.
There you go.
Yeah, I used to love watching CBS basketball. Tommy Heinsohn, we've talked about that a million times.
Yeah. John Havlicek.
Oh, yeah. We were, our heyday was
the Robert Parrish.
79, 80, Bird and Magic,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Parrish.
Yeah.
Kareem.
McHale, DJ.
Dennis Johnson, man. Nobody give that guy enough credit.
Yeah. Kevin McHale.
From Pepperdine.
I remember him.
Pepperdine.
Man with the longest arms in the fucking world, Kevin McHale.
Magic Johnson gave him credit, said he's one of the hardest defenders he ever played against.
Yeah, they always talked about how tough he was in the post. So, but hey,
this chair's killing me.
Is it awful?
Well, it's going to be okay. But I need to tell the story, though, before I forget it. This chair is associated with one of my heroes, the master of space and time, the great Leon Russell.
Oh, hell.
I was a junior in high school.
Oh, shit.
It doesn't have anything to do with this chair, but it was 72. And Leon played down at Stokely Athletic Arena. And so me and a couple of the Maryville gang came over, and it's probably the greatest rock and roll show I ever saw in my life.
Really?
I mean, he came out like a Baptist preacher. And
72.
It's when Reverend Patrick Henderson was playing with him, who was a gospel dude out of Dallas. Yeah. And these three girls that were in Patrick's church, they came out too. And it was amazing. Carl Radle was playing bass, and it was as good a band as Leon.
Well, man, people don't understand. That guy played on every. When people say they played on everything, are they talking about like Leon Russell everything? Because he played on everything.
Yeah.
TV, movies,
And I mean, even, This Diamond Ring, Gary Lewis, the old stuff.
Session
Boots
players.
Made for Walking and
before he even, and then I guess finally somebody was just like, hey, I've been doing this all this fucking time anyway. Why don't I
and then
put
what he
solo
did,
stuff out?
But what he did with Joe Cocker with the Mad Dogs.
Oh my
gosh. He was just brilliant.
Says enough.
He was
really.
So I liked the dude early on.
Yeah.
Early on.
Of course.
And he did one in I guess 71 called the Asylum Choir.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, it had some Lulus on it.
Yeah.
It had some very caustic anti-war songs and stuff. Of course, Vietnam was raging at that point.
Of course, yeah.
But anyway, let's fast forward. Many, many years pass by. I'm living back in Tennessee, and I hear that my old boy Leon Russell's going to be coming to Maryville. And this was 2014, so we're now looking at 9 years ago.
Oh shit!
And I thought, damn, I've got to go.
Yeah, of course.
So I did, and Andy Morton, a bass player buddy of mine, met me down there, and I had one of these camping chairs.
For y'all that don't know,
where your ass hangs way down. You're just, and so we were going to eat some barbecue or eat before the show, and we did. But before I left the parking lot, before I locked up my vehicle, I ate a bunch of chocolate.
Oh hell!
And I ate too much.
Mescaline?
No, it was
shrooms.
No, just regular chocolate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Cannabis chocolate.
Okay, gotcha.
Hell yes, but
I'm with you.
So
I can't trip anymore.
Okay, it's but anyway, I ate too much, and we had our meal and everything was okay. And I can't remember who the opening band was, but we got seated in our chairs and to my right, there was a man and I assume his wife or girlfriend or whatever. And they were kind of in these similar type chairs.
Yeah.
And so the opening band finished and I thought, well, I'm going to go get me a beer before Leon comes on.
Because that always helps.
And I stood up. And the next thing I know, I'm on that lady's chest. I had fallen. I had just collapsed into her.
Yeah.
My legs gave way on me.
They just didn't work. I had my legs not work on me one night.
And I thought, well, is her husband?
That happened multiple times.
I could not make them work.
Well, mine weren't worth a shit at that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought the guy's probably going to slap me or something.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm saying, I'm sorry. And I could hear people back there going, cut him off.
Oh, he had a drop.
But golly, every time, I guess the rest of my life, if I see one of these chairs, I'm going to think about that.
Of course.
But Leon got out there that night and lit it up. His voice was strong.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
How old was he then?
Oh, shit.
He was born in 42. He died in 16. So.
All right.
And I saw him in 14.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So 72 then.
Yeah.
According to this.
Okay. So 72. So how old was he then?
72.
Okay, 72.
So he died.
I thought that was right, but I was bad at fucking word problems and math. Okay. Damn, man.
You got two Leon Russes.
What fucking show is this?
Did you ever hear Cher tell the story about him out in L.A.? That when he was late for that session that day?
I don't think so.
And, they said his hands were so that he could get so many octaves on the piano.
Yeah. Huge.
That really made him valuable and stuff.
Well, I imagine
but she said
would.
that this session was going and Leon was late. And...
So 88, right? 88 keys, and he could play all of them.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
And he had big hands.
Do you want to hear the Cher story or not?
Of course I do. Hey, again, I miss you, man.
Okay. 88 keys. So
marijuana.
The door
too much.
The door finally opens.
Yeah.
And Leon walks in, and the studio's filled with players, musicians, and Cher said he took his time getting over at the piano, and he sat down, and it wasn't Phil Spector. I don't know who was producing that day, but they They said,
He
Leon,
was busy killing someone.
they said, Leon, do you have any idea what the word respect means? And Cher said that Leon said, do you have any idea what the words fuck you mean? And stood up and walked out of the studio. And I thought that was a pretty cool story.
Absolutely.
Leon was, and actually, I guess it was, I'll hope
It was probably like, you ain't never done TV before, or whatever they were doing. It's like, yeah.
I guess it was probably 2 years ago. I was visiting Tip out in L.A., and my son lives in Los Angeles. And I said, man, let's go up to the Hollywood Hills. I want to find Leon's old house. I had the address. And it was 7900 Skyline Drive. And he called his studio Skyline Studios. You'll see some of the albums that he did.
That's right.
During a lot of that. But we went up to the house, and there was a work truck kind of in the yard. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh man, something's not. And not long before that, I had seen where a real estate agent had listed it, and everything still looked the way Leon had done his remodeling to it, because he wanted, make a studio out of it and everything. But so we start walking up towards it, and this guy comes around the corner, and he's like an exterminator. And he said, yeah, we're going to have to tarp it and exterminate it. And he said they've gutted the inside. I said, oh no. He said, well, not completely. He said, do you want to look in? And I said, do you know whose house this was? And he wasn't a young guy, but he wasn't as old as me either. And I said, this is where Leon Russell lived. I
said, who the fuck's Leon Russell? Probably.
And I said, he came here from Oklahoma, and I said he was a popular dude in this town, and he did a lot of cool shit back in the 70s. And he said, man, I got to look it up tonight. He said, look, I got to leave, but look through the place. He said, get you a brick or something. And so me and Tip went inside, and all the sheetrock, everything was gone. They truly had... but we could go upstairs to the second level and stuff, and it was still just, to me, being a fan.
Of course.
It was just so we went outside, and he had a big old backyard for Los Angeles.
Right.
But I found a piece of the stucco and got it, and I said, that's all I'm going to take. That's all I want.
Well, how cool, man.
I made me a nice little kind of shadow box for it.
Yeah, very cool.
But Leon was, he could do country, he could do jazz, he could do.
For everybody that don't know, he played on every fucking thing. Is that killing you? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, help yourself. He played on everything. He was a part of those. The West Coast players out in Los Angeles for what was the fucking the Capitol, right? When then the big round building. Hey, what time did you get here?
Mayday.
Cut him off.
Yeah, cut him off.
That building still looks the same.
It is Capitol, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah. That's what I love about going out there, visiting with Tip. The whiskey's still there. The Palomino's still there.
Yeah.
A few of the, and there's
what was the other one? The Palomino, and then
the Troubadour.
The Troubadour, yeah. Hey, folks, if you're looking for a cool, eclectic place with an outside patio, plenty of UT sports games, cold beer, and live music on the weekends, then look no further than one of our homes away from home, Trailhead Beer Market, located at 1317 Island Home Avenue in South Knoxville, Tennessee. Trailhead is South Knoxville's first beer market, situated on the banks of the Tennessee River and in the backyard of the Urban Wilderness and Iams Nature Center. You can find more info on Facebook and Instagram about specials, live acts, and the goings-on, and be sure to tell them McGill and Jamie sent you, and have one more for the good guys. I got a story about the Troubadour, actually. So hell, it might have been in 2016 or 2017. I went my first year to Hawaii to visit Bob and Captain Bob. It's Bob with one O for all you bastards that need to know. Whoopsie. But yeah, we went out there to see Bob, and we met this guy named Freddie, and I don't know, I'm not even sure if Freddie's still alive right now, but a guy named Freddie Kaufman, and he was one of the largest rock and roll promoters on the West Coast. And this was a kid, was from Wisconsin. He was adopted, didn't have the greatest home life, and just fucking went out and said he wanted to do something in music, and just started doing DJ stuff and this, that, and the other. Became the big guy out west. But he had keys to the Troubadour, and told us a bunch of stories about that, and some crazy shit with Waylon, probably back about the time you were with George, but I guess him and Jesse were on some kind of almost getting split up or something, and there was lots of cocaine involved, and any rate, Freddie was one of the coolest dudes ever, but we got to hear a bunch of stories about this Troubadour, and then Daryl Pewitt would always tell us, he had played out there with Tanya Tucker at the Palomino when she was like 15 or some crazy shit, so yeah, just tons of musical heritage out there. But Leon played on everything. He did every fucking thing.
You remember when George Benson...
Wrecking Crew, that was that cast of musicians.
Carol Kay and...
she was playing bass.
Playing the bass.
And Glenn Campbell.
Hal Blaine, of course, on drums. Well, I've got a damn Hal Blaine story.
Oh, hell.
And I mean, it's my only Hal Blaine. I don't know the man. I never met him. He's passed now, of course, but... of course, he truly played drums on everything.
Every song.
He was...
from Strangers in the Night to Indian Reservation, he played on everything. But, and how, you can't begrudge him for that, but he always struck me as a little bit arrogant. But anyway...
you seen the documentary, The Wrecking Crew?
Yeah.
Okay.
But...
for all of our folks at home... If you haven't seen that, check that out. It's
or if
really,
you don't know who the Wrecking Crew is,
tremendous shit.
Then
you'll understand Leon Russell better after this.
Absolutely.
And Glenn Campbell.
And Glenn Campbell and just wherever this goes.
But here's you'll like this one. You'll like this one. We're in Reno with George Jones for either a week or two. I can't remember. It may have been 2 weeks because we had some off days. And this was right when I first got with him. I mean, I'd been with him weeks. I hadn't been with him long at all.
Right.
And so on this off day, George was supposed to go to Los Angeles and film like an HBO special or something.
Right.
And they were going to have, all staff, studio music, whatever, doing the deal.
Yeah.
And so they brought Charlie McCoy from Nashville to be
equal to the Wrecking Crew from this side of the United States with the A team in Nashville.
They brought him to be the Nashville liaison.
And mainly harmonica, but he played everything, didn't he?
Yeah. He played, that was him playing Hammond B3 on Easy Lovin' by Freddie Hart.
There you go. There's you some more fucking homework.
One of the greatest songs country music will ever have. But so anyway, Jones is going to go over here and do this special. And, we got kicked back, fool around for a couple of days. So when Paul Ritchie, our manager, got back, and Paul's brother was George Ritchie, who was married to Tammy. And at that time, we were all working, we were working kind of together and trying to, do some bookings together, this and that and everything. But so when Paul got back, I said, how did the taping go? He goes, that drummer. And I said, what? And I knew it was, I guess he had told me that Hal Blaine was going to do it. I said, what do you mean?
You were very intrigued at
he
that
said,
point.
well, he said, the first 3 songs, he played brushes on each one of the songs. And I'm sure, George did Races On, or, a couple of tempo deals.
Oh, hell,
and so
he knew
Paul
who George
goes,
Jones was for sure.
Paul said after that 3rd song, I went over to Charlie McCoy, and I said, Charlie, does that boy have any sticks? And I laughed my ass off.
Oh, my God.
I said, man, what a...
Jones wanted him to hit it. Hit that motherfucker.
Hal's protege, who was Jim Gordon, who's one of my heroes too, who killed his mother, sadly.
Holy shit.
Jim just passed.
No, I have no idea.
But we could do 3 hours on Jim Gordon. We won't do that tonight, but he was,
But he was Hal's
He was his
protege,
yeah.
Right.
But he played on Harrison's first album. He played on Layla. I mean, Jim,
hell.
Jim was fucking.
That was
he was
when they recorded in Miami, all that, didn't they?
Yeah,
that Layla record.
Yeah, Tom Dowd did all that.
Yeah.
So
God, who wasn't on that fucking record?
Oh man, that was Bobby Whitlock.
That was one of Dwayne's.
Dwayne doing the slide and stuff. So that'll go down as much as Hal did, and I know Hal played
Derek
some
and
wonderful
the Dominoes.
songs. California Dreamin'. But still, when I look at what Jim Gordon did, I tell you what else Jim Gordon played on was Haggard's first album. Not his first album, but after he signed with Epic or whoever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the Epic
that had swinging doors and stuff on
Right.
it, I guess. But that was Gordon playing drums on. He could play country good.
Right.
And later he played with
I guess he could.
I guess he could.
If he
J.D.
played with Merle
Souther.
Haggard.
And
He was probably a good jazz drummer too.
he could
I
play
imagine.
everything. He could play everything. Jazz wasn't really his. He played on Ricky Don't Lose That Number.
Oh, well, there
That's
you go.
Jim Gordon playing on that.
Well, on the string section of all that, all those string section guys were big jazz players.
Oh yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah.
And even so, more even in this era as well. But like all that early stuff, that Grady Martin shit and all that. Those guys.
Well, and Haggard liked all that.
Yeah,
he always had Don Belkin, Don Markham playing saxophone and stuff, and he loved all that Bob Wills stuff.
The other guy, Mr. Every fucking thing from out west, Buck
Owens, Don Rich.
Yes to both of those, but that's not who I'm talking about.
Okay, keep giving me hints.
Jim Burton.
Oh, James Burton.
James Burton.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get it out.
He was Shreveport.
Yeah.
He.
But with Elvis and Haggard and everybody out there too.
Yeah.
Another one of those guys.
I met James one time. That's the only time.
Yeah.
Clyde introduced me to him, our guitar player.
Okay.
We were down at Hall of Fame, the motel. That's where we leave from a lot of times.
Right.
We'd park our cars, and the bus would meet us down there.
Uh-huh.
But we were just going through the hallway, kind of, and here comes James.
Yeah.
And he knew Clyde, remembered Clyde, knew Clyde and everything. How you doing?
Yeah.
That's about it. But golly.
Well, just to be recognized, I guess.
He was the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And back to Leon.
Pink Telecaster.
This may be a little bit, I'm sure it was. You could have been a toddler or something, maybe. You remember a show called Shindig?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
I was born in 1971.
Okay,
so.
yeah. Yeah, this a little bit before that. But Leon was all involved with that. It became a weekly, like ABC program.
There you go.
And then when folk and everything became so popular, Hootenanny came on. It was a weekly show, but it was all folk.
Right.
It was all. But Shindig would have rock and roll and stuff.
And that was here?
What's
or that
that?
was out west?
It was L.A.
Okay.
But Shindig would, they had a house band, and Leon and James Burton and Delaney Bramlett were part of
Holy
it.
cow.
God Almighty. Pretty good house band.
Yeah,
And
you think?
Chuck Blackwell, Leon's drummer from Tulsa,
Yeah.
Chuck played drums. So I mean, they were fucking great. But all those guys with Leon, you know, just they influenced me greatly because of that time period that live album that he did, that same show that I saw him do down here at Stokely.
Right.
Holy mackerel! It came out in '73, I guess, or '4. It had 3 records in it, 3 albums. And that's the first time I did, you know.
Yeah.
And Leon was at that stout at that point. He could say, I'm going to release a 3 fucking album live record. And, you know, they said, you can do it.
You sure can.
You know, because actually he had Shelter Records. He had his own label going at that time. So, which Freddie King was on for a while.
Oh, man.
Golly, Freddie was
hell yeah.
What's that? You were 71?
Yeah.
Golly, that's the year Dwayne Allman died.
I hear sleigh bells ring.
Golly, Freddie King. I saw him 3 or 4 times down
Bad
in Atlanta.
motherfuckers, what Freddie King was.
His brother Benny played for him. He played bass.
Yeah.
And Benny would wear a top hat, and he would do this deal where he'd cock his head to the left, and the top hat would roll down his arm, and he'd catch it on the headstock of his bass.
Shit.
It was cool as hell.
God damn.
It was cool as shit.
Coming in there slinging dicks, what them motherfuckers.
I'm gonna work. I'm gonna work on
Holy
that.
cow.
I'm gonna work that into our show.
There you go.
Ninja move.
Yeah. But now Freddie was.
Yeah.
I saw Muddy. I saw Willie Dixon.
Oh wow.
John Hammond Jr. I got to see some good blues stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But
I really liked Freddie King.
Golly,
Those guys as well.
There was a band that opened for him one night. Of course, he spent a lot of time in Dallas, and he would go down to Austin and play at the Armadillo World Headquarters.
Okay.
Where Waylon and Willie and Commander Cody and all those, you know, they do all that Austin stuff. But
Cowboys and rednecks and the hippies all met up.
I wish we'd find out how they get it.
No shit.
We need to do it today.
Willie, I mean,
but anyway, no, don't.
he's
Hell,
too old
no,
now,
don't get
Willie
me.
is, but
Don't get me going on that. But one night,
I don't know, a little stem cell research. But Willie might come back, goddamn bionic man.
AI.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Yeah. Let's.
But so this band's is gonna open for Freddie. He was playing up at Alex Cooley's Electric Ballroom. That was right across the street from the Fox Theater, where Skinner did that live album.
Yeah.
And
now the Fox was in St. Louis?
In Atlanta.
Atlanta. That's
down
right.
on Peachtree.
Yes.
I used to walk up and down that road there. I didn't have a car.
Well, you moved to Atlanta.
Hell yeah. I was a drummer without a car.
Yeah. Damn. That's a
You
long
think
way
that
to
ain't
Atlanta.
damn tough? That's tough as
Son
hell.
of a bitch.
I walked all over Atlanta,
3 nights
Georgia.
in the Cocke County Jail right there.
Golly.
Holy cow.
But Freddie was going to play up the Electric Ballroom, and me and my buddy said, let's go up there, and we did. And there was an opening act called the Night Crawlers, and I think someone said they're from Austin too.
Okay.
And you know, blues. The only thing I remember about them that night was their whoever the leader of that band was, he had on a Superman T-shirt.
Yeah.
I for some reason I remember that. But years later, someone said, "You saw the Night Crawlers?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And they said, "That bunch out of Austin?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "You know who was playing guitar, don't you?" And I said, "No." They said, "Stevie Ray Vaughan."
Oh my God.
I said, "No shit."
Son of a bitch. And it makes sense.
And so I guess we were just waiting for Freddie to come on.
Yeah.
And that was at the time that streaking was real big. People would take their clothes off. A lot of the college students were doing it all over the nation. And Freddie was out there damn, I don't know, playing Going Down or something. All of a sudden, these 2 foxes came out without a stitch of clothing on.
Oh, Lord.
Circled him a couple of times and then vanished into the wings. But
shit.
Freddie,
why didn't that shit happen at our shows?
I don't know.
He'd have his big old platform shoes
people
on
with abnormal growth and humps and warts and shit. No, we got a lot of pretty people come see us.
I know.
Not many.
I know.
Not 2 titty angels that just show up like cherubs and then leave.
Yeah.
And that's pretty special, man.
It was okay.
You know, you were speaking of that, and with Stevie Ray, there's a great documentary right now on Prime. Or I don't think it's on Prime. I think you may have to rent it or buy it. But it's Jimmy and his story about him and Stevie.
Really? His
yeah,
brother?
Yeah, and I think it's called Brother to the Blues.
Okay.
And if y'all get a chance to check that out, Jimmy Warwick was telling me about it, and a really, really good show to watch. So, I mean, even if you got to rent it, what else you going to do?
Of course, you know, Brother
Go
Jimmy
eat Taco Bell and get fat. Don't do that. Just rent the blues thing. It's good.
Hell yeah.
It's good for you.
Even if you're already fat, still rent it.
Yeah, it's still good for you.
That's what we do.
You'll do something good.
You know, Jimmy was in Thunderbirds, Fabulous Thunderbirds,
Oh, yeah.
which was a great band. But
Yeah,
he,
they were-
he ain't no slouch himself.
No, and I've heard a bunch of people kind of knock Jimmy.
Oh, shit.
And
Well,
I'm he's no Stevie Ray.
he
for
had
Christ's
a
sakes,
completely
but
different style.
A completely different style.
You know,
I mean, Freddie was. I mean, shit.
Stevie,
thank you. Stevie was Albert King and Freddie King,
Oh, shit,
and just pin up with it, man. It was different blues, totally different blues. I like Jimmy. I like the Thunderbirds.
I did too. Tough Enough.
They had the Tough Enough. That
That's a
was
good song.
what
Good
that was
record.
like.
That one had Why
Can't-
Get Up on it and several.
Yeah,
that was-
but what year was that?
That was,
That
I'll
was
tell
like-
you what it was. It was 86.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say, 86. That was a
Yeah, I'd have
86.
been a sophomore.
that was a pick and grin.
Yeah, no, I'd have been
staple.
maybe a junior. I don't know.
That was one of the pick and grin go-to
Stone, I can't
CDs
count.
when we would demo PA systems. That was a Rick Wolf special. That one.
Yeah.
And Toto, there was a Toto CD he'd use. And,
Oh, Lord.
And That's the Way Love Goes by Haggard.
Oh yeah,
That was the 3 CDs that he would use to demo PA systems. That's how I got introduced to Fabulous Thunderbirds and Jimmy and Leon Russell. Because Rick, being a piano player,
yeah.
you know, hell, I didn't know shit when I was 20 years old. And he was like, man, you got to listen to Leon Russell.
Well, Rick was one of those guys.
Well,
you
he-
know, he was probably like a Leon to us, or whoever the bass player equivalent would be with us,
Right.
and just a heck of a good guy.
And a
Sorry.
musical encyclopedia.
Yeah,
But he was like, you need to check out Leon Russell. So I went out and bought that album that you're talking about with the 3 records on it. and listened to it.
Yeah.
And I remember coming back to Rick and I was like, I'll never do that. that guy's on a different level, man. He's just
no.
Hey, I've
he
got
is
a,
so
totally.
good.
I've got a DVD of him doing those 1972 shows.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh wow,
I'll loan it to both. It's
heck yeah, man.
I'd love to see
intense.
that.
I bet.
It's the same thing. He was in Charlotte either the day before or the day after Knoxville. I can't remember. It was something, but and on this DVD, it's got a lot of the Charlotte show in there. And he had been nipping quite heavily.
Right.
He said, "I am somewhat infirm tonight," but he still played his ass off.
Was that featuring just more or less his kind of everything he had done up until that point, or was that a specific pushing an album?
Well, he really only did it that 1 year,
Yeah.
72, that summer. And like I say, he got this black guy, Reverend Patrick Henderson, out of Dallas.
Uh-huh.
And, Leon was raised in the church like so many,
Yeah.
rockers
Yeah,
but
me
he
too, man.
wanted to,
That's where I learned it.
they do some gospel tunes on the record.
Right.
You may remember, Jamie. He lets Patrick do a couple that he tears it up.
Yeah.
And then the girls just they're phenomenal. When he's doing "Stranger in a Strange Land" or some of his stuff, it's just out in the woods and he wanted to. I heard him say that he wanted to expose people to maybe some music that they had never heard before.
Right.
And he was so hot at that time period, that he would work arenas all over the nation
Yeah.
and sell them out. And
And
then
do
so then
whatever
a
the
year
fuck he
later,
wanted to.
this is crazy. A year later, I moved to Atlanta, and he comes down to the baseball stadium, and he's got this whole new deal. He had married Mary McCreary.
That would have been Fulton County, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The old stadium.
Yeah.
And, I mean, less than a year had passed since he lit it up.
Right.
And it was a whole nother ball game. A lot of the players weren't with him.
Right.
It was a whole new deal. And that whole segment there, 72, 73. But once again, though, he was coming right off of Mad Dogs and everything.
Right.
He had, he was just so, and he produced
for
that
our
second
friends,
album.
if you don't know,
for Cocker,
the Mad Dogs album is one of the absolute all-time greats.
Oh my gosh,
all-time greats. It'll be here when the world's on fire.
It's funny that Mark brought up Leon Russell earlier, because I was reading yesterday, and this is a quote for the listeners that, because in my opinion, Leon Russell's probably the most forgot about superstar.
He could be.
Period.
He could be.
This is a quote, and then I'll tell you. I'll read a quote and tell you. He said it. The greatest musician, singer, writer, and entertainer that I have ever seen or heard is Leon Russell. Who do you think said that? Somebody that's somebody that everybody knows that we've actually mentioned today.
No, I'll say the Hag. I don't know.
I'll say Paul McCartney.
Willie Nelson.
Ooh.
Well, it's
and
hard
if
to
Willie
argue
Nelson
with that.
says it, you probably are.
Yeah.
So.
Well, didn't Leon play on all that stuff down there with him too? When
he did a lot. Yeah.
A lot of the family stuff.
Yeah. And then, of course, Leon did that Hank Wilson's back.
They had some kind of little deal down there too. Not just Austin City Limits, but they were doing, when they doing I've heard some stories, and I'm sorry I can't get it just
I think
right,
some of that. I think that may tie into the Armadillo World Headquarters.
Okay, yeah,
that was kind of like Ground Zero.
Yeah,
I think.
right.
And you never knew who was going to come in there. It could have been
Yeah, man.
Billy Gibbons when he still was wearing those button ups.
Oh yeah, and the hats.
Some of my favorite ZZ Top time right there.
Oh man,
when he was clean shaven. I loved watching some of those clips.
What was it? What Tejas was? Or they did a live record from Dallas, didn't they? Didn't ZZ do a live record at Dallas?
Well, Fandango, I can't remember. I think
that was live, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was one side was live and one side was studio.
Right.
Best I remember.
Yeah.
And that live side.
As hell.
The live side kicked off with Thunderbird.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Fuck,
just
man.
Smoking. Just
got back from babies. Just got back from babies.
Yeah.
Brown Sugar. Son of a bitch, man.
Their first album was everything they did. It was. I mean, even in the 80s, I liked them then.
Oh, fuck. I wouldn't know who them sumbitches was if I didn't have MTV, Mark. Yeah. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
I heard somebody shit on that one night at a bar, and they're like, well, fucking ZZ Top, they sold their ass when they did that Eliminator bullshit. And I'm like, hey, cocksucker. I wouldn't even known who they fucking were if they wasn't for.
That's right.
Got me under fucking pressure. Yeah. Now, you tell me that sumbitch right there won't kick you in the ass and make you want to drive fast.
I love them all.
Beat up some mailboxes or something silly.
Give me all your loving.
There's a documentary of them on one of the streaming services.
I think it's Netflix.
I have seen that one.
And it sounds, we had watched it a couple of years ago before the bass player died.
Yeah, Dusty Hill.
Yeah, Hank Hill's brother on King of the Hill.
Yeah.
And, they're just sitting around reminiscing basically like we are, but they're all sitting at their instruments playing, and they just start playing this groove, man. And we had it through the 5.1 system, whatever. And I was just like, my God, they get so much tone out of 3 pieces.
That little old band from Texas.
Yeah,
But I heard that stuff, that MTV shit, and was just like, okay, and I deep dived it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I never heard those records, Texas or Tejas and
see, we were
shit like that. I didn't come up on that Trace Ombrason first album. My favorite, DeGuayo.
Yeah,
I never knew that. I wouldn't have known that existed if it hadn't been for MTV ZZ Top.
There were some boys in Maryville that went over one weekend to Charlotte, and I didn't go. I don't remember why I did, but they saw Top. and some, this would probably been 71.
Yeah.
And they came back, and on Monday at school, they said, "Oh, these guys were fucking, they were unbelievable." And so
they made so much noise for three pieces, man.
Yeah. But and Frank, I never realized he had the problems he did.
Yeah, I didn't know
until I watched that.
I don't think nobody knew anything about those guys. They kept it pretty close to the vest the whole time they were doing it.
I will give you a Jones story on this, and I saw him do this. Clyde said that, and this was probably a couple of years before I got the gig, but I think they were going to do Austin City Limits, or they were it was something in Austin.
Yeah.
And Billy Gibbons,
Club, maybe?
I don't remember, but Billy Gibbons
It's a really
came
small
out.
place, but that would have been somewhere you guys would have sold out for a fucking week.
Billy Gibbons came out and he wanted to just say hello to George, and
right.
And sometimes things like that would happen, and we would usually take people to him.
Yeah,
but Clyde said that Jones was all fucked up.
And he didn't watch much TV.
And he kept making Billy wait. And Clyde said after about an hour, he left. He fucking left.
No kidding.
And I often thought, when people ask Billy Gibbons about George Jones, what would he say? We were over in England, and Elvis Costello stood out there in the damn hallway for about 45 minutes. Jones made him stand out there before he
should have waited 3 days.
Billy
Gibbons, the Reverend, shouldn't have had to wait.
Well, I know.
But I'm telling you, whatever.
When
sure.
He was when he was smashed.
Yeah.
It was another universe.
Well,
it was another damn.
You've heard,
and I'm not taking up for him.
Of course not.
But when
we're just having fun when we say that about Elvis Costello too. Not really.
I tell you what, so that song they did, "Stranger in the House,"
it
was a badass tune.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear somebody do it again.
That would be a good one.
It was on that Duets album.
Revisit that.
And
well, sometimes what I was getting at, I was going to say earlier is, I've heard this a bunch. And I've took it pretty tongue-in-cheek when I have met heroes of mine, and they didn't go just exactly like I expected them to. But sometimes it's good maybe that you don't meet them. Yeah. If, and especially somebody that had the career that George had that was as great as he was, and then, that's your shining moment with him. That's tough. Yeah. For some folks, the
boys, they said that like in later years, I guess they would have these meet and greets or something.
Right. Yeah, they would sell extra.
Shit. George, I don't know about that.
Right.
I can't see him. Hey, let's get to him.
Well, I opened for him one time at the auditorium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this band called me up at the store and said, "Hey, we need a piano player, and we're going to be opening for George at the auditorium." I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And we didn't get to meet him, but we kind of got a hey as he walked by.
Was that like 90 or 91?
It was 97.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. So we showed up with all our gear, and stage manager or somebody come out and said, "What are y'all doing?" It's like, we came to, we're supposed to open. He said, "Yeah, but you're going to play their shit." All I had to do is walk on stage, play their rig, and walk off. Yeah. Guitar player and a bass player took their stuff, but that was it. Nobody else took another thing. And we got booed because everybody. The band was okay. It was doing.
Was that the Making Friends tour? Or is that what that one was called?
And as he was coming on, we were walking off, and he had people around him, and he kind of nodded at us. That was all we got of him. But by that point, he was as sober as he was going to get, I guess.
Yeah.
In his era of, so.
Of sobriety.
He was like, Santa Claus in those days compared to.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say most of his financial success came in that era too, right? In the 90s. I mean, because he was. Well, I guess he stopped loving her, and then, all that after. But
talking about George and money, I mean, Yeah. As I often said, if you lay a $1 bill right here and a $100 bill right here, and he looks at them, there ain't no damn difference. They're to be spent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, they need to be spent.
Yeah, they said he would just buy cars like every other day or so, and just if somebody leave $500 or something, or just throw fucking a money clip in the fucking garbage.
You just,
and those were certain times, different days, like what we're talking about.
It was it
meant nothing to him.
It was just, as I often look back and think about it, I mean, it was just, I guess the first show I ever did with him, the things didn't go well.
As a band or just?
Well, just period.
Right.
That whole West Coast thing was it was okay.
Right.
The third show I did, the third show I did was in L.A. At a place out in Reseda called the Country Club. And I was just getting ready to go in. George was back in the stateroom, and everybody else was already inside, and the door opens up to the bus, and up walks Emmylou Harris and Bonnie Raitt and Bill Payne of Little Feat.
Shit.
And Andy Kaufman. He was the fourth.
No kidding.
Andy was he was paralyzed. Oh, shit. But, I acted like hey, how y'all doing? Come on up here, make yourself at home. I was green as I damn gourd.
Yeah.
But
third show,
it was, it was just crazy. But Jones, he did really well that night. There were times,
and at that level, are the shows? I mean, it's obviously got to be a little bit different to you. I mean, your third show, you just open the door for those people. I mean,
well, really, the first night. I mean, we drove from Nashville to Bakersfield, California.
Son of a fucking
that was going to be my
whore.
first show.
What was that, like 3 days, 2 days?
No, it wasn't. Woody had some helpers probably to help the driver. But anyway, I've got a hell of a good driving story though. Too.
Yeah.
But we drive from Nashville to Bakersfield, and it's at a half-mile speedway racing track called the Mesa Marin Speedway. It seated 9,000 people, and it was sold out. And there was an opening act that was on Epic Records, and we backed them actually. But then it got time for us, and Tammy was going to close the show that night. And so as I walked up the ramp to the stage, I looked out, and I mean, I'd never played for that many people in my life. And I thought, 9,000, damn. And, but as soon as, we kicked it off, it was okay. So,
Were you nervous?
No.
None?
No.
Right.
No. Walking up the ramp, I was a little bit.
Right.
But,
was there ever a eureka moment of, holy shit? I mean,
no. And I think that's partly because, I didn't grow up playing country music.
Right.
I didn't know a whole hell of it. I acted like I did.
Right.
I acted like I did. That's how I've gotten through life pretty much.
I got you.
I act like I know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it was just I just kind of, I won't say I lucked into it, but I did kind of fall into it.
Right.
What's the old deal? The harder I work, the luckier I get.
Right. Right.
But but I started back in town and everything. I started realizing, I've got one of the good gigs.
Right.
Prestige wise.
Right.
We might have not made as much money as Barbara Mandrell's people did.
Right.
Or Kenny Rogers' people. But prestige wise, it was right up there with Waylon and Willie and Merle and
George.
And so,
Jones.
And the live performance, that was, and we've talked about this before. The studio was where I was not comfortable.
Right.
The live stuff, that didn't bother me at all. The first Farm Aid, that was 85. Yeah, and we used the stage that they had used on Live Aid.
And how many thousand were there?
There was 85,000 there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the stage, it rotated.
Right.
And it was split across the middle, and you had, a back line facing one way and a back line facing the other way. So they would get one group set up,
right.
and then when the other group finished, they'd spin it around. And while we were getting ready, Foreigner was playing.
Son of a bitch.
I looked through the curtain, and they're doing, Hot Blooded or something. Oh,
shit.
And they had, I Want to Know What Love Is had just was out.
Oh,
and it was a smash hit.
Fucking huge one.
And so they had gotten this local choir from this church, this black church, to come up on stage when they they closed with it.
Didn't they shoot the video with a choir too?
Probably so.
I believe so.
Probably so. I think you may be right.
Yeah.
But I mean, live, it was amazing.
And
so then they spun us around. And Willie walks up there, and
Whiskey River, take
Well, he had on a cap and shit, and he said, "This next artist," I forgot what he said.
Introduce you guys, sorry.
But then he introduced us, and he's standing over there watching us play and shit. And I thought, damn, that's pretty cool.
What'd you kick off with?
No Show Jones.
No, hell yeah.
Well, and as we were walking up to the stage too, John Mellencamp was walking towards me. And he kind of just leaned over and stuck his hand out and said, "Thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming." And we had, our polyester on and shit. Yeah. So he didn't know who I was.
But he knew you were a Jones boy.
Yeah. David Allen Coe came out and sang a verse of Tennessee Whiskey.
Yeah.
During that. But it was, and then the next year we did it in '86. We did Farm Aid again.
Well, didn't they? They did the first one on MTV, right?
It was on TNN. It was on the National Network.
That's right.
Well, so here, let me finish this up. This is funny because I was starting to jump ahead. But so we get through playing, and I go down to the hospitality area, which was huge.
Right.
And I was over at the beer, and the drummer for Foreigner was there, and we talked for a minute, and so. The next thing I know, I look, and way over here, I see this guy, blonde hair, kind of up, stick, and I realize that's Sammy Hagar. And
the Red Rocker.
So then, and we knew he was supposed to be on the show and everything. And so then a few minutes later, and we didn't have a lot of time because we were going to have to get back up to Chicago or something to fly back to Nashville.
Was he with Montrose then? That would have been after Montrose.
Sammy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that was
after Montrose.
So
probably been when he had his.
Well, it was when I Can't Drive 55 was hitting pretty good. But I look again over at the edge of the tent, and I said, "Oh shit, that's Eddie Van Halen," and it was. And so we had to leave very soon. But that night, Sammy kicked things off, and there was no delay on the feed.
I've heard this story. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And of course, we were trying to get home and everything. But supposedly, Sammy said something like, "Hell, you tractor driving motherfuckers!"
Yeah.
And
there was supposed to have been a 7-second delay.
And they said that back in Nashville at the home operation,
everybody had a fucking stroke.
Somebody said, there's these youngsters are certainly enthusiastic. But then Eddie got out there, and that was really when the Van Halen, the New Deal was going to begin.
The Van Hagar.
It was cool. But then the next year, '86, they were going to do Farm Aid again, and they decided we'll do it in conjunction with Willie's 4th of July picnic, which he has every year.
Right.
And so that's what they did. I think it drew 40,000. I mean, it was of course a good crowd. But
was that in Austin?
It was in Austin, yeah. And he killed it that day. George.
Yeah.
All the YouTube clips of that '86. We sounded good that day.
Right.
So.
Well, I guess you have those days regardless.
God,
but those good days and bad days.
Sir,
but then, when you're just under
and
that
you would
kind of magnification,
And was you just never knew, what was
right.
Was the stomach hurting him because he was constipated? I mean,
right.
he would take to the stage something that he'd been pissed off about, 7 hours earlier. He still wouldn't,
couldn't let it go.
There'd be 10,000 people out there wanting to see their hero, and he'd put forth a, kind of a half-ass effort.
Right.
And I hate it. He did that a lot of times.
Right.
And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
There were times
I'm
I just
sure.
wanted to say, hey, for 45 fucking minutes, put forth a little effort.
Yeah.
But
was
but
that the consensus of the other bandmates, or was that kind of?
No, I think they knew that.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
like what did they feel that same way as well?
Like, are y'all sitting talking about this on the bus? Why, hey, I wish the hell he'd have.
Or did they have any? They'd been doing it so long.
When it was a shitty show, we all knew it. There was really not a lot of talking about it afterwards.
Right, I got you. So that says
it was
a
more,
lot.
alcohol and let's get. But it just, you wouldn't. And then the next night, it could be, in Evansville, Indiana or something. And there would be no reason for him to get out there and just fucking burn it up. But he would.
Yeah.
And it, but there was, you just never knew with, what I found out early on, it wasn't like rock and roll,
No.
There wasn't going to be any technicians. There was nobody to carry my drums. If they were going to get set up, my ass was going to set them up.
Right.
And I got to, this is terrible, but I got to where if there was a back line or, I'd play anything that was out there.
Of course.
To keep me from having
to lug all that shit.
Why, hell yeah. Or if I'd been talking to some little queenie out there, when the show's over, I didn't want to be up there tearing shit, not working like a damn roustabout.
Not up there.
But then later on, we did get a sound company that took care of our equipment. But it was, I played on a lot of wild ass.
Oh, I'm sure.
Crazy. And see, we did not take a sound company with us the first year.
Right.
So every night that we showed up somewhere, it was the promoter's responsibility to get the sound.
Right.
So because of that, we would get just, hoodooed many nights. And that was what would set him off so badly.
What was the one with the monitors? The
out in Reno.
It was somewhere,
where they squealed, and
he never could get them. The guy couldn't get them right.
There was two of those instances.
Okay.
One night in Reno, we were having problems, and at first George said, "No, come on, don't be a horse's butt." And the audience, they laughed and kind of clapped. And so then a few minutes later, it was squealing and stuff. So then Jones goes, "You horse's ass," to the monitor man.
Oh shit!
And at that point, the crowd didn't laugh. And so then a few minutes later, he goes,
I guess
what you can do is take those monitors and stick them up your ass. And hell, they started filing out at that point. They were going back to the casino at that point. But then one night in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I think this is the one.
He'd been tooting for a couple of days, hadn't slept in 2 days.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have our own sound company then. And the monitor man was doing his best, and Jones just tortured him all night long.
Right.
And towards the end, it seemed to be kind of okay. And the way it was set up was the stage in the club, they actually had the monitor board setting on the stage, and it was at about chest level. And that's where the guy fooled with it all night long. And right to the right of him was about 4 or 5 steps, a little, a stairway that came off of the stage.
Right.
Where George would come off and then where he had come on. So he stopped loving her, I guess, and good night and God bless you. And we rip into White Lightning, and so he's waving to the people, and the sound man, the monitor man's over there kind of smiling, and I guess he thought, everything's kind of okay now. And Jones came off of those steps, and when he got down to the floor, he turned and just slugged that monitor man in the stomach. And he was kind of a big old boy, but Jones laid into him, and And at that point, Wayne Oliver, whoever was with us, they got George and drug him, and got him out of the place. And so then, everything was kind of winding down, and the monitor man came over there and he goes, I don't know why he hit me in the stomach. And I said, look, man, he was all fucked up. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'm sorry. I said, he's out of his damn mind. And he goes, I know. And so it just kind of.
Yeah.
But golly, those monitors would.
You just never knew.
Oh, my God.
And that guy told that story for years. He told George Jones hit me in the damn stomach.
Oh, man.
It. And then when we had our own sound people, I mean, he would torture them too at times. It just.
Yeah.
And one of it would kill me.
And I'm have a hair up his ass.
Well, and I'm not a singer, but what he would sometimes do when he would already be mad, he'd be going, he'd like go say, I'm just a bartender. He just keep getting further and further away from the mic.
Yeah.
Just to be an asshole.
Right.
And, but there were some people though that would come to those shows when he was not in good shape or whatever, and they didn't care.
Right.
They got to see him, and some of them hoped that he would be would be drunk or whatever. They wanted to see him, all jacked up. And sometimes they got their wish. We played down Franklin, Georgia one night, and my dad grew up in central part of Alabama, and it wasn't far over the line from Franklin, Georgia. It was an outdoor music park, and it was a nice place. And all those places, especially in the South, they used to always have good food for us after sound check and everything.
Right.
But anyway, we were down in Franklin, and it's when all of my aunts, my dad had 4 sisters and lived just over the line in Alabama. And they had seen me once already with George here in Knoxville, actually, at Uncle Sam's Club that used to be out on Alcoa Highway.
Yeah, I remember that. It
used to be the Senators Club when I was a little boy. But anyway, the aunts come to Franklin, and it was after we were, I don't think we were working with Tammy much, but we were doing that show with her that night, and Jones was smashed. And so
now, I'm sorry, but were you guys backing her up?
No.
Okay, she had
her own band. Yeah. And what would happen, well, we'll get to the duets here in a minute. But Jones was smashed that night. And he had come out, If Drinking Don't Kill Me, I guess was his song on the radio at that point. And so he sings it and he goes, if drinking don't kill me, that goddamn line bitch's memory will. And of course, and I thought, oh my God, here's my 4, aunts.
Oh no.
At church every Sunday and Wednesday. I mean, had never had a drink of alcohol in their lives, I don't think. And I thought, oh my gosh, George, why in the hell did you pick now
tonight?
So, and of course, a lot of the crowd just went ape shit. They loved it.
Oh, of course.
So we got through, and I just made a beeline out there to where they were. And I walked up and I said, folks, I apologize. He and Tammy got into an argument before the show tonight, and I'm sorry. And they were going, oh, it's okay, Mark. It's,
They're just glad to be there.
But golly, Franklin, Georgia, I'll always remember that.
Hey, good guys and good gals alike. If you're looking for somewhere to go to get your hair did, then look no further than the Chop Shop Hair Studio. Our longtime friend and supporter, Cindy Lou, opened this spot located in Knoxville's very own Happy Holler back in 2010. Chop Shop Hair Studio offers a variety of services, including facial waxing, accessories, tools, and a complete line of men's and women's products, along with essential oils. A lover and supporter of the musical arts here locally and abroad, Cindy has a small stage with stringed instruments and offers discounts to guests if they are willing to play and or sing a song. The Chop Shop Hair Studio is a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, and 100% pure style. just like our dear friend and owner, Cindy Lou. The hours are Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can also visit the ChopShopHairStudio.com and or call 865-525-4240 to book your next visit to go and get your hair did. Located at 1206 North Central Street, Knoxville, Tennessee, Chop Shop Hair Studios. Stop by and tell them McGill and Jamie sent you to have one more for the good guys.
Okay, we're talking about Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Golly. I wish you hadn't said that.
Well,
I got an ex-wife cruising around down there, I'm afraid. My first one.
Okay, yeah. So let's get back to that. So you left 18 because Georgia was just a happening spot.
Well. If I had
almonds coming out of
in Macon. If I had the courage or really more experience,
right?
I'm sure Macon was where I would have wanted to have gone,
right?
But I mean, man, I was just so green. I mean, you know, we'd had little high school bands and stuff, but even that, you know, well,
that's a pretty gutsy thing to do at 18. I mean, back then when wheels were square and, you know, you had to talk to people with.
Well, at first, man.
What's those pigeons?
Carrier pigeons.
Yeah, you're old, Mark. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that was.
I'm just.
Yeah, that was 73.
Yeah,
73. But I had a buddy a guitar player from Maryville, and we went down there and stayed for a little bit. Came back, and then I went back by myself.
Right.
And I had another friend from Maryville that was living down there, and so he and I were roommates for a long time. But that's when I started, you know, working, you know, trying to meet people and stuff,
right.
and met the first band that I played with. Then I got busted. No, I don't want to get into the whole deal.
No. But we're not.
I got busted, and I came back to Maryville. Yeah. Mother had to fly down and get me out of jail. It was bad.
We're not going into that.
It was bad. But I come back to Maryville, and you know, I'm out on bond and this and that. Right. There were drug charges, and oh shit! A couple of times I about got in trouble, and they'd have put me right back in jail if I had. But I ended up going back to it. I couldn't wait really to get back down there, even though, you know, because I was just so excited. I was feeling that the music deal probably was gonna.
Right.
And so that I went back again, and that's when things really started taking off for me.
Yeah. And you left Atlanta when?
I left.
Why?
I left
was
there.
Was it because of the Jones job, or?
No.
Okay.
I left there in 78 when me and my first wife split up.
Okay.
And I had already met the boy. If I don't tell this, it's not. I'm gonna have. It's not gonna. I started working in a nightclub when I was married to my first wife.
Uh-huh.
It was the first full-time playing job that I'd ever had, where I was playing 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week. And I was painting a Days Inn motel right down below the airport in Forest Park.
For some daytime work.
Yeah. And I get this phone call from this fellow named Charles Fincher. Right. And this story's in the book, and I can't tell it all now. It's a hell of a story.
Sure.
But I get this call. They're looking for a drummer. And I said, you know, I'll be there tomorrow night. And that was my first gig that really got me going.
Right.
So I'd been there a couple of months, and this guy comes in one night.
You were a pro at this point.
Well, shit.
Well, no, taking the job because you're getting paid for a living, right?
And I was acting like I knew what the hell I was doing.
Of course.
We had sat in at this club one night with this band I was in. And so when I got the job, that first night, I heard the bass player over there going, "Oh shit, he's good. He's good. He's good."
Right.
And because he remembered me from that night when we were playing our songs and stuff.
Right.
I didn't know jack shit about country music. and we played 5-hour sets every night, Monday through Thursday.
Oh, hell.
On Friday and Saturday, we played 9 to 3.
Oh, fuck.
God.
Time to make the donuts.
And we had a jam session on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 4 to 7.
Right.
And I made $175 a week, and I was fucking thrilled
I bet.
to be getting that. I was being paid to play my drums.
You laid the paintbrush down?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You thought, these drumsticks, they feel so much better in my hand than this damn paintbrush does.
But one night this guy comes in and they say, he's going to sit in here in a minute. He's from Nashville. And I didn't think much about it. This guy gets up there with the Telecaster. And he sounded like Roy Buchanan.
Right.
I mean, he was good. Find out he plays for Michael Twitty, who was Conway Twitty's oldest child.
Right.
I think Conway had 3 from Michael's marriage. But anyway.
You think women got pregnant and never had to be around Conway? That just through the radio? Or if he walked into a steakhouse, he'd just be like, boom, 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 boom. And 6 women just get pregnant all of a sudden?
I don't know. The ladies.
What was it?
They liked him. They liked
him.
But anyway, this boy, Al George, we got to be kind of friends. And he came back the next night and sat in again. And what it was, he was from Atlanta. And his wife's mother was from Atlanta, too.
Right.
And so I guess we exchanged phone numbers or something. And, so I got fired from that gig after about 5 or 6 months. It was a steady gig.
Yeah.
And they brought this drummer in named Richard Rogers, and that's a whole nother story. But
yeah, sure.
But so a few months later, I got another good house gig out in Smyrna, out in Cobb County.
Was it playing country music
yes,
as well?
Yes,
okay.
but more rock and roll.
Right. Okay.
Oh, I sang several Skinnerd songs in that band. Yeah. We had a very fun. I've got a good story.
Well, fuck! Why didn't you ever sing a song with us? I never knew you sang, Mark.
I'm not that good. I ain't that good. But so in the spring of '78, that job ended. After a few months, and me and my wife, we were splitting up at that point.
Right.
And my sister was splitting up with her husband in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And of course, my big sister's always been, if it wasn't for her and my mother, I'd be on the damn chain gang right now.
Right.
But
shaking that bush.
When Beth and I split up, I said, I'm going to go up to Philadelphia and just hang out with Diana for a little. And she said, come up here if you don't know what you know. I said, I'm getting the hell out of Atlanta. She said, come on up here. And I did for about a year. Played with some bands and this and that. And so one night one afternoon picked up the Philadelphia Inquirer, going through the entertainment. Nashville North, Friday night, Michael Twitty.
Oh, hell.
I said, oh, shit, I've got to go over there and see if my buddy is still.
Right.
And so me and a keyboard player friend of mine went over to this club that was right across the river in New Jersey, the Tacony Palmyra Bridge. It was right across. There was a strip club right by the country music place by Nashville North. We went there after we left there. But anyway, we walk in the place, and Michael Twitty's up there singing and playing, and I look over there. There's my buddy standing there at that Telecaster. And so they finished their set, and I snuck up behind my friend and grabbed him, and he turned around. He goes, what the fuck are you doing in New Jersey? And I said, man, it's a long
Getting ready to go to the strip club.
So anyway, he said, look, I told him, what had happened. He said, look, you need to come to Nashville. He said, you would love it.
Right. He
said, you can stay with me for a couple of weeks till you get your feet on the ground. I said, man, I might do it. I might do that. And so not long after that, I came down to Maryville, and Mother let me use the car, and I drove down to Nashville and spent the weekend with Al, and he showed me, around and everything. Yeah. And I said, man, I'd like to give it a shot. And he said, we'll get you a gig.
Right.
He said, we'll get you a gig. And so, he did some work. Well, cause Michael never worked. Hell, he had money.
Right.
Daddy took care of him.
Sure.
I don't bet they did 12 shows a year, and so Al was pretty good with electronics, amplifiers. He could do electronic repair pretty good. And so, there was a music store down on 8th Avenue called O'Donnell Music. And that Saturday morning, he said, I've got to go down to the store for a little while. And I said, yeah, that's cool. And so we got down there and went up to the second level where the showroom was and everything. And old boy was standing there, and he introduced me to him, and it wasn't Jimmy Capps. It was some guitar player. He played the lead on Heaven's Just a Cent Away.
Oh, shit.
and Al told me that. I said, oh, nice to meet you and everything.
Yeah.
So then, a few minutes later, this guy came up, big, long hair, curly hair, beard, bushy. And Al said, this is Al Woody. He said, Al, this is my friend Mark from Atlanta. He may be moving here. And so later I said, now what's Al do?
Yeah.
He said, well, he's kind of into jazz stuff and kind of a lot of different things. Well, Al was who got the job with the Allman Brothers Band in 91.
Oh, wow.
When they kind of reassembled again, and Warren Haynes got with them and everything too. And Alan was with them until God bless him, he OD'd.
No kidding.
Yeah, in New York, but he was just the nice. But it was Alan said, we'll get you going.
Yeah.
So a couple, not long after that.
And I mean, and being in that city, for people to know, I mean, that's just an everyday kind of thing. If you go to the right places.
Yeah, and it was so different back then too. But I mean, there was no internet, there were no cell phones,
right.
There was no nothing.
Right.
There was nothing.
You had to be,
and
carrier pigeons.
So when I finally got back
down,
when I finally got back down there, when I moved to Al's house, when I left Pennsylvania, came back, took all my shit to Nashville. We went with Michael down to Mississippi to do a gig. I'm not even going to get into that one right now, but it's a good one. You'll like that one.
Is it in the book?
Hell yes. Hell yes, it's in the book.
Okay.
But when I got back down there, we were at the music store one Saturday morning again.
Right.
And
you're how old now? Roughly.
23 maybe?
Yeah. So
4,
still just
3 maybe. And so somebody at the store that worked there at the store said, hey, a Carball Man's looking for a drummer. And Al said, who? And the guy said, Carball Man, he's an artist around town. He's going to be out at Springwater tonight. You ought to go out there. Springwater was a club out by Centennial Park, which is the oldest honky tonk in Tennessee. It's the oldest bar in Tennessee, they say. But anyway, we went out there that night, and I met this guy, Carball Man was his name, Carbaugh. And he was from Chattanooga.
Wow.
Good singer, had some good original songs, this and that. And so they let me get up and sit in.
And had a gig.
Yeah. And I tell you who was playing with him that night was a guy named Ray Flack, who was a hell of a guitar player.
Yeah,
Ray was sitting in.
I know that name. Where do I know that name
And Dave
from?
Pomeroy was playing bass.
Yeah.
Dave was Don Williams' bass player.
Yeah. And
he's president of the Musicians Union for the last 20 years down there. But anyway.
Where's the other name from, though?
Ray Flack?
Yeah, I know.
Ray played with Ricky Skaggs.
Okay, yeah. So Pomeroy also came from like bluegrass background.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But he was with Don Williams.
Yeah.
When I met him then.
But makes sense. Him and Ray Flack might have been together because with Skaggs stuff and.
But I mean, though, in Springwater, Marshall Chapman might walk in the next month. I mean, Dave Olney, Steve Earle. Yeah. I mean, you did back then. It was just Pam Tellis. I mean, everybody was just friends and stuff. Just It was just such a. So we get through, and Carball's over there talking to us, and Al got my buddy. He goes, "Well, you gonna use him or what?" And Carball said, "Yeah, I'm gonna use him. I'm gonna use him." And so we started rehearsing pretty soon, and the next thing you know, I was doing gigs with Carball, and hell, we went to Okeechobee, Florida, and then went to.
Wow.
We went to all kinds of. Went to Biloxi, Mississippi.
Did you have a standing gig there in town?
No. Yeah. No. And see, I think Carball had money from his family, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. But when we kind of split up, I never saw him or heard of him for years.
Yeah,
the last I had, but this is kind of cool too. He had demoed a few songs, and where he had done them was down at this little studio across from the Hall of Fame that I guarantee you was smaller than this building we're in right now. And it was Harold Shedd's Music Mill, the original Music Mill. And Harold was who produced Alabama.
Oh, there
and
you go.
had produced, some of that early stuff on them before they really hit it big.
Right.
Well, he produced Carball's 3 songs.
Okay.
And we went down there one night to do something. So, fast forward, he makes a damn gazillion dollars and builds this beautiful new Music Mill studio with a water wheel and everything, up on Music Row.
Yeah.
Harold hits the big time. I run into him one night. Of course, this is years later. I said, Harold, you probably don't remember me, but I played drums for Carball Man for a little while. And he goes, Heart of Janie, which was the name of one of Carball's songs.
Oh, wow.
I said, it's a good song, wasn't it? He said, hell yes, it was a good song.
No kidding.
He said, Carball had some pretty good stuff. I said, he did. But, just because of the way things happened.
I'm gonna try to look him up.
You won't find
You
anything.
can't find anything.
No.
Nothing.
No. But this is.
He never released anything, or
no. But
that's a shame.
He did,
wonder how many guys like that were there.
Millions.
You know what I mean?
Millions.
I mean,
there's somebody right now going down the interstate to Nashville.
Yeah.
That's better than Eric Clapton will ever be.
Right.
But we'll never hear of him.
Right.
He won't get that gig.
Yeah.
With whoever.
Yeah.
The whole Broadway thing. Compared to when I was,
Oh yeah.
You'll like this one. That night I came down.
I dare you to go on Broadway and hear anything but a fucking Journey song or an Aerosmith cover.
Well, you hear it all. But let me tell you though. That night when I came down for my visit,
turn ugly there.
When I came down to see if this was, that I wanted to move here or not.
Right.
And Al we went downtown. We go in Tootsie's.
Yeah.
And a solo guy had finished a little bit earlier. This was a Friday night. They had no band. There was no band that night.
Right.
The Ryman around the corner was padlocked. They didn't use it for anything.
No.
Across the street, Ernest Tubbs' record shop was open, and the Old Merchants Hotel would have a band sometimes.
Yeah.
The Demon's Den down on the corner would sometimes have a band.
Was the Bluegrass Inn going then with Hubert Davis and all that?
Yeah. But it was just such a tourist. They didn't go down to Lower Broadway.
Well, no, it was not a safe place, really.
Oh shit, no. At that point,
Printer's Alley, for Christ's sakes,
well,
right around
and that's where Ron Gaddis was playing bass that night. Al and I went in there. I said, man, that's the most charismatic son of a bitch I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
What a voice. What charm.
Yeah.
I said, this guy's a damn, and he was looking at me as he was singing he was doing Back on My Mind Again, that old Ronnie Millsap song.
Well, that's a good one.
And we walked out and Al said, everybody here in town, they're all good like that.
Right.
He said, Friday night, there'll be 5 guys get together and play 4 hours down at the American Legion, and they'll be better than the best band in your hometown. And I started to see, what he was talking about. Hell, it was true.
And you had the station in. But that was plumb across the river, and that was a bad part of town, too.
The Bluegrass Inn was down there near Elliston Place, best I remember. But me and Dickie Betts went over there one night.
Oh, Hubert Davis, left-handed banjo player.
And the Seasoned Travelers.
Yeah, and they put on a fucking show, man.
Yeah.
Hubert picked the shit out of that banjo, man.
When Dickie and I went over there one night, it's the first night I met Dickie. He was in the gold rush, and nobody was talking to him or anything.
Right.
Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers. I just walked up to him, and I had on a Jones T-shirt. I said, man, I'm George Jones' drummer. I said, you're one of my idols. And he said, you want to go over here and see Hubert? And I said, yeah. And we got in a Trans Am with a buddy of his. And he had some had some refreshments. Holy mackerel. But we got over there, and Sam Bush was sitting in with Hubert.
Yeah.
And,
crazy, man.
But it was such a cool town back then that when it, and here's my idea, and maybe this can help get it out. I double dog dare anybody in Hollywood to get the Chili Peppers or get, whoever, Brad Paisley, whoever, and say, folks, we're going to do it in 1980. You'll have no telephone.
Right.
There'll be no internet. You can call back home when we get to a truck stop if the bus needs fuel.
Yeah.
Or you can call back home when we get to the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're driving from here to Minneapolis, you won't talk to anybody back home probably until, and in the morning we'd go down to the front desk and get the USA Today. Yeah. That was our internet right there.
Yeah, sure.
That was our damn internet.
Sure, print media was a big.
And I double dog. Could a band today do it? Could they damn do it?
No, I don't. I mean, they probably could, but they wouldn't do it the way they wanted to.
They wouldn't be happy.
No, hell no.
But just, no Facebook, no nothing. No nothing.
Well, hell, you probably couldn't even fucking get hired. You could probably dig up Elvis and Hank Williams and they fucking wouldn't hire you.
I was talking to the way I played back then, shit, nobody today would hire me.
Right.
I wouldn't get a damn. But, but you got to think, though, me and Biff that played for Merle and W.S. Holland that played for Cash and Richie Albright that played for Waylon. Yeah. We weren't college. We weren't music school drummers.
No.
We didn't know anything about molar technique. We were all self-taught. Just old boys.
Yeah.
And George never understood that's why all those guys' records sounded so good, because they used their bands. I'm not saying we were as good as those bands, but we could have done some of that stuff.
Hello, music lovers. Campbell's Music Room Guitars was opened and founded by our longtime friend Kyle Campbell back in 2017. If you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, you're always needing something. From strings, picks, or maybe a repair to your trusty instrument. Campbell's Music Room Guitars has a full line of all the stringed instruments. New and pre-owned, accessories, pedals, amplifiers, and here's the best part, it's a local, family-owned business where you will get the very best of sales and service from the owner himself. Campbell's Music Room Guitars has something for everyone. Did we mention that he also gives private lessons? Kyle is one of Knoxville's most multi-talented players and teachers with many years of professional teaching experience. Located at 5103 Kingston Pike, open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Give Kyle a call at 865-584-0041 or stop by and tell him McGill and Jamie sent you, and you wanted to have one more for the good guys. At some point, it was, everybody likes to say that it's sold out now or it's this, and it's always been a fucking machine.
Oh yeah.
Let's not be silly.
Oh yeah, make no mistake about that.
And a lot of people don't get that. Even people that are in the music business, and some folks I know, they talk about it, and I'm like, yeah, but they've been fucking pressing records down there a long fucking time, and they've had a system to it, and that's the way it's going to be. Yeah. And
now George had enough clout in 83, 84 where he could have gone to Billy Sherrill.
Oh, absolutely.
And say, hey, Billy, let's try the boys one time. Yeah. And if it doesn't work. But I think part of that was Jones, too.
Right.
Jones, he didn't like sharing anything with any. I mean, I don't mean it. It sounds terrible.
Well, you're just.
But he's the damn
stating
star.
The truth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In 1956, he was the star.
Yeah.
The Jones boys. There's been a bunch of them come and go, but back still pre-internet, pre-phones and everything.
Yeah.
We were in New York, and we're going to do a TNN special. Us, Ray Charles, Mickey Gilley, every damn body, bunch of damn people. And so we went up, and we were staying at the Waldorf Astoria. I spent 2 nights at the damn, I can say I stayed
fucking
at the
good
damn.
For you, man. That's one more for the good guys right there.
We get over there for rehearsal at Radio City Music Hall. I was going to, I was just blown away by that.
Yeah.
The fucking Rockettes and So we get out there for rehearsal, And Jones wasn't in a good mood anyway.
Right.
And he wasn't feeling it or whatever. And so we get out there and we try to start the rehearsal, and the stage manager, he goes, look, George, what we're going to do, get right over here on this square. It was about a 4 foot by 4 foot square, and it would go down below the stage.
Right.
And then when they brought him on, he would bring him up out of the ground.
Right.
A very dramatic entry. He goes, yeah, George, we'll bring you up out of the pit,
Oh no.
And Jones goes, no, we're not doing that shit. And he gets his guitar, and we go through a couple of songs and everything. So then we get back over to the dressing rooms, and he and Ricky Skaggs was blowing up.
Oh, shit.
Day by day, bigger. And Epic was giving Ricky a lot of attention.
I guarantee
And George, was on Epic too. And I guess it was kind of...
He was
at
pulling
some
off
point,
all those old bluegrass classics.
Oh, Highway 40 Blues, and I'm just a country
boy.
It was Martin Parker was playing drums for him.
Well, he was Entertainer of the Year, right?
Oh yeah, but so anyway, we get over to the dressing room, and there's a deli tray or something, and Clyde Phillips, our guitar player, he goes to George. He goes, well, Ricky's tray's bigger than ours is.
Oh
my God. Was he a dummy and just said it, or was he trying to egg the old man on?
I think he's trying to egg him on.
Yeah.
But Jones just he just kind of said, let's go. And we went back to the Waldorf, got our stuff, went to the airport, got a flight to Vancouver, Canada.
Holy shit.
And started in Vancouver and came across the country. And we just blew the show just completely.
Fuck New York City.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm not doing it.
Fuck Radio City Music Hall.
And and there was nothing we were disappointed and everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's just the
heartbreaking.
That's just the way. And him and Skaggs, I never could really tell. Do they really like each other, or do they? I don't know. It was. He opened for us one night in I think Oklahoma City.
Really?
Right when Ricky really just was.
Yeah.
Kind of getting out there. Of course, everybody was saying, he's going to be. He's going to be big. And he was. He
was traditional as they came, and then crossed the board.
He wasn't really a. He wasn't really a partier.
No.
He
Picky Ricky.
It's kind of like. Well, it's not really, but I heard that Dwight Yoakam said they were talking about Graham Parsons, and Dwight said it's hard to be a country singer when you got a trust fund coming in every year. And they said, when Graham was out there with the Birds and all those guys, that he got $55,000 a year from his family in Florida. They had citrus orchards and stuff. That's how Graham's family made their money. But that $55,000, oh God, that's a lot of damn money. In 1970.
Oh yeah,
71, the year you were born.
What would that be now?
But
$200,000 or $300,000.
Some of those band album covers, where they got the nudie suits on and everything. Graham was just spending money.
Yeah.
They'd take limos out to Joshua Tree, for photo shoots and stuff. But he was just he was a genius, Yeah. He was a genius, whether he was a spoiled rich kid or not. He just.
Well, for nobody that knows, the way to make $1 million in the music business is to start with two, right? So.
There you go.
There's artists that are relevant right now, today, that a lot of people think a lot of things about, that, went out and got second mortgages and shit and just decided to bet on themselves, and they made it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And if it wouldn't have worked, then, oh, well, I got to find some way of making the payment. And Sturgill Simpson being one of those guys that's out there doing it right now. But, yeah, why wouldn't you? Are you kidding me? You get nudie to make you a suit. You're out here. We
don't have time. We're not going to do it today, but I know you want me to tell some Vern Gosden stuff.
Oh, well, you love him so much.
But once again, let's go back to the Byrds.
Yeah.
Dumbass Vern and Rex, his brother. They were out there. Then. And that's where, of course, Vern got the idea for using that E-string vendor telly. And Vern's guitar, it wasn't worth a shit. Every time he'd hit that thing, it'd be out of tune the rest of the night.
Right.
And Vern, at times he was almost as good as George or Merle, I guess, at times. But, buddy, when he would go off, when he would miss a note and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Out in front of everybody and stuff. Oh, shit. It was not good.
It was not good.
He could damn. When Ron and Lori.
And he couldn't take it, I imagine.
Well, he just.
But I mean, he couldn't take it in the sense that he'd turn on everybody else that he was fucking up, or he didn't give a shit.
No. He was just so damn. We don't have time tonight.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. So you left there and you started playing for George at what age?
24, I think.
Okay, so you'd been in town a year?
23 or 24. Yeah, I hit a good lick. I was there 1 year, basically, and got the gig with Jones.
Right.
So, and matter of fact, it's a long story getting up to that. After Carball,
right.
Boots Hill, who was a drummer, Boots got me some very important gigs.
Right.
And, man, we're going to have to do this again.
We totally will, and I'm getting this to a point here because I want to come back and let everybody know that'll be listening to this about a thing or two. But so you're there a year or so, and you work with Jones between the years of
80 and the end of 86.
Okay, so 6 years,
7 years,
7 years on the road with Jones, and you're faking it till you make it, and you making it. Now you're faking it till you break it.
Well,
and we'll get back to that. But okay, so earlier we were talking about the book. Now a lot of people probably don't know what the fuck we're talking. What they talking about? I didn't know they had books back then, but maybe they didn't. They wrote on tablets. Don't judge Mark. But he's got a book coming out, for Christ's sakes. When did you start? You said it earlier. It was like 2016?
I think it was 2012.
2012, okay. I was only off by 4 years.
It was all these stories that, like I've been telling today. And through the years, people would say, man, you need to write that stuff down.
Right.
And so I finally realized, I do need to write that stuff down.
So you just made a concerted effort of just to start writing something down.
Is it like a collection of stories, or is it an autobiography mostly, or what's the is it?
It's
memoirs.
It's a lot me.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of personal stuff because I wanted to make it mainly music.
Right.
There's some personal stuff, but it's just what I choose to put in there.
Yeah.
But it is mainly, and it does start with me pretty young. I knew I wanted to be a drummer when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And why?
Well, part of it was the Star Spangled Banner.
No shit.
Yeah, when the snare drums would kick it off at the beginning, it just tore my ass up.
Shit.
Yeah, and Mother had a laundry detergent. She had a laundry detergent container made out of thick cardboard, and it was either Cheer or All. Uh-huh. And the detergent was long gone, but I turned it over, and it was deep. And I got Tinker Toys and put the round ones on the sticks.
Right, like mallets.
It had the most wonderful sound. and I from our front yard, I could see the flag over at Maryville College up on top of the administration building. And I'd sit out there in the front yard with that little drum and look at the flag, and I'd pretend, I was kicking off the Star Spangled Banner.
Wow.
But, and then I'd watch I Love Lucy, and every time Ricky Ricardo said, honey, I'm going down to the club, I thought, that's the coolest shit. I want to go to the damn club.
Right.
Or he'd go, Lucy, I'm going to rehearsal. And I thought, damn, that's what I want to be a damn musician.
How about that?
And that really is, I knew what I wanted to do.
Right. Well, good for you, man.
And then when I got my first set of drums, I was 13. Soul music was big. I loved Otis Redding and everything out of Memphis. But then at the same time, I loved rock and roll too.
That's a whole other.
And then when Hendrix, that was.
I don't.
And then 3 years later, Dwayne Allman came into my life.
Yeah,
and that's what did it right there.
I don't think people know how just just real quick, but in my opinion, I don't think people know how important Memphis was.
Oh, shit.
And probably still is in
To
a lot of
everything.
ways.
To everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking everything.
Yeah. ZZ Top cut one of their albums there, too.
Yeah.
At Ardent, I think.
Yeah. Was that the one they did the Sam and Dave, the Thank You?
It may be.
It may be. That may have been some inspiration for that. But at any rate, yeah, well, that's funny you say that, because I think about a thing that I watched one time, and I had a DVD of it, and I don't know where the hell it's at now, but you were talking about Don Williams earlier, and the fellow who played with him,
Dave Pomeroy,
right, Pomeroy, and there evidently, Don Williams was a huge thing over in Africa.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, and I had this DVD that was live from Africa with Don Williams.
Wow.
Fucking A, man. And he's walking up the streets. I don't know where they're at. Maybe Zimbabwe. I think that's where the concert was from. But I don't know where this scene. It's probably Zimbabwe. But they're walking up the street, and they would have like a Don Williams Day parade and shit.
Wow.
For Don Williams.
Yeah.
So they're walking up the street, and there's this blind guy, and then another guy, and the blind guy's playing this guitar. Maybe it may have 2 strings on it. I mean, it's very, very, very primitive.
Yeah.
2 strings, and he's blind and is singing while the other guy is on percussion, and it's like soup cans and paint cans, and they're doing My Best Friend.
Wow.
And it's just fucking unbelievable, That's Don Williams probably was one of the greatest concerts I ever got to go to as a fan. It was that every time a chorus came, it was the crowd. They were singing Don Williams to Don Williams. And it was that way from the first song he performed to the end of the night. And he'd just stop and just look around and just be like, just smiling.
He was cool, dude. He was cool. But once again, that's a good example, though, of why back then country was the way it was back then, was because Don did not sound like George.
No.
And George did not sound like Willie. And Willie did not sound like Waylon.
Hence,
and
our drop in about AI.
Well,
I mean, this new shit where they exaggerate their drawl, their southern.
Oh, I know.
It makes me want to puke.
I just, I don't get it, man.
Let's not.
We're not doing it. We're not doing it.
Hey, let's leave on a good funny story.
Okay, so and I'm going to get us there, and I'm going to leave you with it. Okay. So if you don't know, Mark and I have been friends for a long, long time, and of course with Jamie as well. But this is the inaugural edition of the podcast. One more for the good guys, live from the honky tonk, whatever the fuck we're going to name it. I'm not sure right yet, but it's just we live in such a rich place, and during our travels and during our times playing music of all of our years, we've got to meet so many good folks. So. All of that being said, Mark will have a new book coming out very soon. He's been working on it for probably since we met.
10 or 11 years, he said.
Yeah. And so as soon as we know something about it, we'll get it out to you all. And
definitely need to get Mark to do an audio version of it.
I was going to ask him about that.
We can really get that done, and because the stories are one thing, but the way he tells the stories,
absolutely. Well,
really,
a real comedian friend, or not friend, I don't know him. I feel like I do, but Joey Diaz, he's got a podcast, Uncle Joey's Joint, but he just came out with a new book yesterday or today, I believe, and it's called Tremendous, and it's the life of a comedy savage. So if you want to get it out there, buy the audio, buy both versions. It's going to be tremendous as it's titled, but if you want to really have a good time, buy the audio version, because the way Joey tells a story, it's tremendous. But are you going to do an audio version of your book?
I am.
Good.
I am.
Good.
And
are you going to read it?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yes,
I would.
I think you should.
Absolutely.
That's
I
what
think-
Wayne Bledsoe told me to.
Absolutely.
Wayne said
and Wayne's such a good one.
Well,
and a good
he
guy.
said when he reads my stuff,
Yeah.
that he hears me talking
Right.
as he reads it. And
Sure.
So no, folks, I had to step away. As you get older, liquids are not your friend.
Brought to you by Flomax.
But man, I appreciate you having me out here today.
Oh man, you're
Been
more than
been
welcome.
Been a privilege and a pleasure.
I appreciate you being here, and you
We'll
know,
do it again.
when you come back, and you will come back, right?
I will.
All
I
right.
will.
I've got you on record now.
Okay.
You can't back
Well,
out of it.
And the book will be out at that point.
Yes.
But I'm going to end with one story that just kind of.
Yes.
I hadn't forgotten it.
Well,
but
we're on the ground floor here, so hopefully when you do come back, you'll have the new book, and this place will look like it's.
Hey, it's
Like
all
I-
good.
like
It's
I
all
want
good.
it.
I like
So-
it. I like it.
But
I like it.
tell us one more good one before you go.
Richie Albright, Waylon Jennings, drummer
Man.
and producer. Richie and I became pretty good friends through the years. And
A guy who, real quick, not to interrupt, but a guy who has got his own fucking beat named after him.
yeah.
Pretty pretty important. He's one of those guys. If you don't know about him, you should find out about
was
Richie
big
Albright.
in bringing drums into
Yes.
country music, basically.
Absolutely.
But
Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
But Richie said that in '76, when the Wanted the Outlaws album came out with Lukenbach, Texas, I mean that was what blew the Outlaws
Oh, absolutely.
movement wide ass open, and they did a zillion shows together, just Waylon and Willie, just everywhere, and just scores of them. And so Richie said one night, somebody from Willie's Bunch came up and said, "Hey, can you play with us tonight? Paul's not going to be able to make it." And Paul English was Willie Nelson's drummer for decades.
It's been rough
decades.
and rocky traveling.
And so Richie said, I thought Paul was probably sick or something. I said, of course, yeah, I'll be glad to. So after the gig was over at night, he said, is Paul doing okay? And one of them said, oh, hell, Paul's fine. He was fucking some old girl, and her husband was going to come down here and kill him tonight.
Oh, shit.
And Richie goes, well, hell, I hope he knew what the fuck he looked like. I said, Richie, but he said those outlaw days.
That's great.
When that stuff was first.
Well, and he's the one that flushed the cocaine. Richie was.
Oh, yeah.
In the story
Take
with
back
with
yeah,
Waylon,
yeah.
When they busted, when Waylon singing through the nose got him busted by the man.
Yeah.
In New York, I believe. I think it was in New York too.
Well, there was one in Nashville.
Okay, maybe I've got it wrong.
I know there was arrest there because his lawyer was Tom Binkley, who became George's lawyer.
Okay.
Who became my lawyer.
Right.
He did my divorce.
Okay.
And it was but Richie was, Richie was the real deal.
Yeah.
He got burned real badly when he and Waylon had a falling out around 84 or something. And Waylon did a record with Dan Musto playing drums.
Uh-huh.
Dan, I think, was a Knoxville guy originally, but they parted, and but Richie got real badly burned in an accident down on his farm, and I went to see him down in Franklin at the hospital, and he said, "Bring a couple of your little friends with you," and I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
So I rolled up a couple of doobies before we went down there. So I go up to his hospital room, and he tells the nurse, we're going to walk around for a little bit. And so we walked, and it was the old Franklin Hospital or county. I forgot what they called it. It's probably not even there anymore. But about 30 yards from the main entrance, there was like one of those little concrete benches. And we just went over and sat on that bench and smoked a joint. And then he went back up to the room. And it was Richie was a damn... They broke the mold on him. But I tell you what,
he was with Waylon for years, wasn't he?
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I mean, he started in 61,
Right.
I think in Phoenix with him.
Yeah.
But, it was once again, it was just a different time.
Yeah.
It was just a different different time.
Well, man, we've had a really, really good time. I love you.
Love you too, Michael.
And
Jamie, good seeing you.
Yes, sir.
You've always been a really good friend to me and kind, and you gave me advice when I needed it, and you straightened me out every once in a while when I needed it too. Well, you jerked a knot in my ass a time or two.
You may not want advice from me.
But I just appreciate you for being you, and thanks for coming out.
Man, I appreciate it. Hey, you helped me out greatly when I first started to want to start playing again. And,
well,
brother JC on, and
yeah, how about that?
He said, "You know Mike McGill."
I met this guy through
no.
a Craigslist ad, or JC did, and then JC introduced us.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
I went.
It really
I went 20 years without playing. I didn't. I didn't play when my son was growing up. I was busy as a dad.
Right.
And
yeah, I've been there, done
it's
that.
All good. It's all good.
There.
We're going to do this again, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Folks, we love you.
Love you.
Cheers. Be kind to one another, and that's one more for the good guys. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find.